What up, nation? Welcome to another edition of the Wise Take DFS podcast. I am your host, Patio Joe. You can find me on Twitter at Patio Joe Ref. And I'm joined here tonight by my fellow compadre, my fellow WAP, my fellow Italian brother, Paulie D. Follow me on Twitter at Paulie8Ds. Paulie, what's going on?
What's up, bro? What's going on with you?
Not much, man. I mean, today was a crazy. The last 2-3 days have just been a crazy news cycle for the NFL. It never seems to disappoint. We have the Henry Ruggs thing, which was just tragic. And then we get Aaron Rodgers testing positive for COVID, Saquon Barkley testing positive for COVID. We have AJ Green testing positive for COVID. I mean, just everywhere. We got quarterbacks that are questionable. Then before we get into the slate, let's go back to week number 8, where I was successful once again. We're now 7-1 in the cash games by the skin of my teeth. I made a big mistake right before kickoff. No, it wasn't a mistake because I feel like the process was right, and I want you to comment on that. I'm getting out of the gym. I get out of the gym about 9:15, 9:30. I hear the news that Calvin Ridley unexpectedly is out. At that point, I didn't have Pitts in my lineup, but I'm like, Pitts has got to be in my core now. And not knowing that, Carolina was just going to shade all their coverage over to him now and just totally take him out of the game. But I changed from Pitts, I moved down from Pittman. And now Pittman wound up going off for 2 touchdowns and everything. But I still wind up cashing because I had Chris Godwin, and I had a pretty good morning showing anyway. So
who did you come off of to go to Pitts?
I had Ricky Seals-Jones.
Seals-Jones. And who did you go from Pitts down to?
Jacoby Myers.
Okay.
And I think I moved from the Browns defense to Washington's defense. So I had to free up $1,400. So
yeah. I mean, I completely understand the move. Ridley in a great spot gets pulled. Pitts plays a ton in the slot as a receiver, and now he's going to be their number one guy. In a game that had a high total, bad defenses, you're expecting scoring. I believe it was in Atlanta on turf, right? It had all the makings of a high scoring type of game. On DraftKings, a lot of people scrambled to get Cordero Patterson into their lineups, and ended up making similar kind of regrettable moves for the most part, because they took either came off of somebody like Godwin or Pittman or something. But I think you got to make that kind of move. It's just because it didn't work out doesn't mean it wasn't the right move,
Right.
And it's a high probability of him doing well at a position that was weak, that if you won that position, it really set you apart. And I mean, I loved Pittman. He was one of my favorite plays. So I don't know if he would have been the guy I came off of, but I think in retrospect, it's the right process move. Maybe it would have been different players or somewhat, but I think it's the right move. I mean, I really was high on Hockenson at tight end with the same kind of thinking of this is a really weak position. I want a guy who can really set himself apart from the field. And I did the same with, I play MME in football, tons of lineups. And I went from 15% Pitts to 30-35, which is pretty significant in MME.
Mm-hmm.
And, it ended up hurting some lineups, but I had a lot of Hockenson and the others. But I think that's the right process. I really do. I mean, especially late reacting, because there's edge to be had there, because most of the players either aren't reacting or aren't reacting properly. So late news like that, I think is something you want to try to take advantage of as much as possible.
Well, yeah. And plus, I think it was also a special situation where normally we're not really surprised by late news. Like
Right. It's a guy that's like doubtful, questionable, but this was like out of nowhere. He's, having anxiety and now going to step away from the game out of nowhere.
Yeah. So, but anyway, let's move on to week 9, which is another really weird slate. I think that there's 3 games that are going to garner most of the ownership, and that's going to be the Chargers, Eagles, the Vikings and the Ravens, and the Cowboys and the Broncos.
What about Green Bay, Kansas City?
That total has gone down 7 points now. It went from 55 to a 40, like 48 and a half. With the news with, Rodgers being out. We're not sure if Devontae Adams is going to be back yet, but we're thinking he's going to be. But how does that react to things? I mean, we could talk about it right now. Jordan Love is 4,000 on DK, and he's 6,000 on FanDuel. That's tempting. No matter what. I mean, you need a 12 on DK, maybe, and a 15, hit 12 to 15 on FanDuel. What would you think of that in a cash game setting? Do you think that's going to be the chalk? Do you think people will go there? What do you think? Do you think we should go there?
So for FanDuel, I would say no. The separation to some of higher floor quarterbacks is not that far, and the salary cap is looser for the most part. The interesting thing about this week is there's just not much to pay up for, that people are gonna flock to. So the savings that you get from him is not gonna help you all that much. And I think just like last week when they beat the Cardinals and really depended on the ground game, they're gonna do that even more. They're not gonna expose Love to blowing this game for them unless they fall behind and he's got to play catch up. So for DraftKings, where the salary cap's usually a lot tighter, I can certainly see the justification for it, but I don't think it's a no-brainer because I don't think his ceiling is really that high.
So let's start off this DraftKings lineup tonight. I think, just looking at the quarterback position, to me, Lamar Jackson stands out. His price is a little bit lower than the guys above him. I mean, when the first week started out, I loved Rodgers. Felt like that was a great spot going into Kansas City. He's going to be back and forth and stuff. But then Lamar at home for the 4th week in a row, believe it or not, 4 home games, crazy enough, with a bye week in the middle of that. But I think Lamar Jackson is great. It's a good stack with what we want. Is that where you want to start? Or do you want to start somewhere else at QB?
I mean, I'm fine with Lamar. I think this team is going to be throwing the ball more and more, which really increases his upside. The running seems to always be there. It's whether or not he gets rushing touchdowns, but the yards seem to, consistently be there. And then it was always the pass game that, held him back for the most part. But he's had multiple 300-yard passing games, a 4-touchdown passing game this year, and their weapons have gotten better and better in the receiving game. And I think Minnesota's D is sort of a pass funnel, so I like him a lot at a decent price against a defense that Cooper Rush torched last week. So Lamar Jackson should do whatever he wants. So I'm totally fine with him. I think Joe Burrow against Cleveland is decent, although I'm not aware of what the weather is like, and that's something we need to start paying attention to more. I think Derek Carr against the Giants is interesting, but I also think Jacobs could be interesting, and it's he's got less and less weapons. Darren Waller's status is really important there, but yeah, I'm totally fine with Lamar Jackson. I like that. If not him, I think Josh Allen's a phenomenal play and just an absolute smash spot, and we've seen these quarterbacks in these massive spread games just go out and do what they're supposed to do. He's chasing an MVP kind of season. He had a bad week last week and still put up 30 points, and I don't see anything getting in the way of him scoring 20 plus against Jacksonville. But yeah. But I definitely like Lamar Jackson, and I really like Marquis Brown. You saw the Cowboys with a bad quarterback, being able to throw all over them. They're a poor tackling team. I think Marquise Brown could do some damage, or even the double with either Bateman or Andrews. I like the Baltimore offense quite a bit.
All right, so why don't we put in Lamar and Marquise Brown right now? Who do we want to bring it back with? Jefferson, Thielen, or Cook?
I do think this is a really good spot for Dalvin Cook. He seems healthy. I was surprised when I just started doing a little bit of preliminary research that the Ravens have allowed the 9th most points to running backs this year. Dalvin Cook is going to be used, on the ground in the pass game. I think this game's, going to put up a lot of points. So it's just likely he gets into the end zone. I do like Cook quite a bit. But if not him, I would say Jefferson.
All right.
Where are you at with that?
I think it's a good bounce back spot for Jefferson. I think they're probably going to be playing from behind and going to need to be throwing to keep up. Mm-hmm. So I think, Thielen, the thing about it is that Thielen is 600s cheaper. And I don't know. I think Thielen is way more of a FanDuel kind of play.
Yeah, definitely.
Than a DK play. So why don't we go with Jefferson right now?
Okay.
Now let's move to defense. We got the Chiefs at 2,300 on DK going up against Jordan Love and the Packers.
Mm-hmm. Terrible D, but I get it. Dolphins, middle of the road price against Houston. It's just been like plug and play against them. Mm-hmm. But yeah, also we got the Falcons D, against who's going to be quarterbacking for the Saints is what's his name going to be back? The receiver, tight end, quarterback guy. Or is it going to be Simeon?
Taysom Hill.
Yeah, there's some turnovers there probably.
What about the Giants against the Raiders coming off of the Ruggs thing?
The Raiders have been really good offensively. I don't know. I don't like the Giants that much defensive-wise, but.
All right, so we're going to go away from the KC Green Bay game anyways. Let's just lock in their defense at 2,300 so we can shore up some value.
Sure.
Here. All right, let's move to running back now, Paulie. So we got our stack with Marquise Brown and Jefferson. Maybe we'll throw in Bateman if we want extra. But what do we want for running backs this week? It's a tough week. This is, like I said, there's not like value that pops out at you. Mm-hmm. Devontae Booker and Myles Gaskin right now kind of jump out at you. Eli Mitchell again. Mm-hmm. I think he's in a great spot if he's completely healthy. He has a rib issue. He missed practice today, but word is he's going to be playing. I like Mitchell. He's the man right now in San Francisco in that offense. Who would you want to lock in there as a value?
No, I do like Mitchell. Like you said, we don't have a ton of value. We saw Green Bay move the ball through their running backs all over the Cardinals. I think they have a great pass rush, but they're not very stout against the run. And San Fran's O-line is elite and playing really well. Mitchell's clearly the guy there. I'm with that. I'm totally with that.
All right, so we're gonna go with Eli Mitchell at 50. I think he's at 5,800. All right, so looks like the way that this is going, we're gonna have to pay down at tight end somewhere. Andrews is too expensive at 5,500, and you might be able to work it if we went really, really kind of value other places, but tight end is just a crapshoot, I think. Tyler Conklin is also another option.
It's a good spot for him.
Baltimore's given up some yardage.
A lot.
Tight ends.
Yeah, they have, and it works with our stack. I don't mind that. I think Dan Arnold is fairly safe and going to be pretty popular. Just, the ceiling's not huge, but the floor with the amount of targets he's getting, with how decimated that pass game is. Him and There's a guy that I liked. I can't think of his name right now. The receiver, kick returner guy. Like, they got a ton of targets last week. And, they should be trailing. They should throw a lot. So I think Dan Arnold at 3-4 is like the safe play.
Let's go with Conklin because it's just going to go with our stack.
Stacker.
Yeah, our game stack. That leaves us with 6,000 per player with 3 spots to fill. Running back, I think it's kind of a pay-up sort of week for one guy, maybe. I don't mind Austin Eckler.
I like all 4 of the spend ups. Not counting McCaffrey, who also may be back, but Kamara should get a ton of work. Eckler, I do like against Philly. I like Alvin Cook quite a bit, but he probably doesn't fit this lineup. And I think Aaron Jones is going to get fed this week, although he is kind of in a split. But you're talking about Kamara, right?
I was talking about Eckler.
Eckler is the spend up.
Yeah, I mean, just in that offense, in the type of game flow, I just kind of like it. I'm not sold on Kamara if Taysom Hill's back. We've seen him kind of go away in games last year when Taysom Hill was playing, and just like Taysom kind of like vultures the goal line there and stuff. I think if Simeon is playing, I like Kamara a lot better. And I like Aaron Jones. I think A.J. Dillon is in play too. They're going to lean on those 2 guys.
Oh, yeah. A ton. Yep.
They're not going to want to get in a shootout. They're going to want to play up tempo and such. Wide receiver value. No. We want to just go with Bateman because I'm sure he's 4,000. That would free up.
Well, I think we got to play a Raider receiver, right? They're all cheap. Hunter Renfro's 4.8. He's going to get a ton of targets. You got what's his name taking
Brian
over?
Edwards.
Brian Edwards taking over kind of the Ruggs role. I mean, if Darren Waller's ruled out, one of these 2 guys is like cash game viable. I think Waller's going to play. But I kind of like Hunter Renfro at 4.8 against the Giants.
I can go with that. Let's lock that in. That's perfect. That leaves us with 66.50 per. We could go up for the running back we want and then pay down for a flex somewhere else.
Yeah, so stick Eckler in, and what does that leave us?
That leaves us with 5,400 at flex.
I mean, I like Kadarius Toney at 5.2, correlating with the the receiver from Las Vegas. That kid's electric, and like all the Giants receivers are hurt. Like what's his name's now down?
Shepard. Yeah, our options would be, I think, like the safe options who's going to get like targets would be like T. Higgins. I mean, he's just a target monster, so he's more of like a cash option. But yeah, I'm down with Kadarius Toney. See him, they want to get it. They want to get him the ball too. You could just tell. So that's going to do it for our DraftKings lineup. We got Lamar Jackson, Eli Mitchell, and Austin Eckler at the running back spot. We got Marquis Brown, Justin Jefferson, and Hunter Renfrow at wide receivers. Tyler Conklin at tight end. And then Kadarius Toney with at the flex spot, rounding out with the Chiefs defense. Moving on to FanDuel. And FanDuel pricing is a little bit tougher. Lamar is the 3rd highest priced quarterback to Josh Allen, and they're only $700 difference. With the news of Jordan Love being quarterback, that kind of takes Devontae Adams out of the thing. So that's like we were talking about, like your big pay-ups this week. They're not really gonna be there. I mean, on FanDuel you got C-Mac, nobody would go there, and then you got Kamara at 9.4, Eckler at 9. Alvin Cook at 8.8. So you have enough to pay up for that, and probably the quarterback too, if you wanted to just go with Josh Allen.
Let me ask you, do you like anyone from the Chiefs offense?
This week I would say like Tyreek Hill. I also think that Travis Kelce is going to get like his lowest ownership in all year because people go with what they saw on Monday night.
Yeah, and he was like irrelevant. Yeah.
So I feel like you're going to get Travis Kelce at his lowest ownership of the year. He's 7,800 on FanDuel. He's only $700 more than Mark Andrews. To me, I feel like Kelsey's going to blow up one of these weeks again, and nobody's going to have him be able to walk away with it. Like if I was doing a cash game lineup, like the big decision would be between either him or Tyreek Hill. Like Hill just
massive target shares, hard to tackle.
But he's 7,800, and I just don't think anybody's going to go there this week. So why don't we just lock in Kelce right now?
All right.
Let's see what we go with that. Moving on to defense, like lately I've just been trying to see like what's the worst offense, playing one of the defenses on, what's the cheapest defense playing one of the worst offenses. I mean, if Kyler Murray doesn't play, which he's questionable, AJ Green is already out.
Oof.
DeAndre Hopkins also didn't practice today either. I mean, you could be having all those three guys completely out against San Francisco on the road. And their starting quarterback is who? Who is it? Who's their starting?
No, it's I think Shreveler, that guy.
Mm-hmm.
But is Kyler really at risk of not playing this week?
I mean, he got hurt on the last play of the game last Thursday, and he sprained his ankle. Some people said it was going to take a lot more. I mean, they're saying that he's going to play. They're saying all the right things, but he didn't practice today. Right. So it's something to really look through. If he doesn't practice on Friday, like that's a big, But let's just kind of do what we did in the last thing. Let's lock in the Chiefs defense at 3,300 going up against Green Bay and Jordan Love. I think that they're going to be fairly chalky, but I'm willing to eat the chalk at 3,300 and just kind of go get 6-7 points. It's fine. I mean, it'd be great to pay 5,200 for the Bills defense, but it's just not worth it. And none of the other defenses are in like a nut spot. I could say going to Miami, but Miami's defense isn't dominant. They're just playing a bad offense. You know what I'm saying? So let's just go with that. QB, do we want Josh Allen or do we want somebody else? Do we want to pay down? You want to pay down? Let's have a little fun paying down this week. I mean, I think Tua's in a great.
I do too. And I mean, I like Devontae Parker, who nobody's going to play. Obviously, Waddle, Gesicki, they're all really good spots. I do like Tua. I think they have a really good offensive showing against this Houston team.
At least at home,
Yep.
But let's do a little bit different. Who do you prefer bounce back between Jalen Hurts or Justin Herbert?
Herbert for sure.
Let's go with Herbert on the road against. Let's do a little stack with that. Who do we want to pair Herbert with? Do we want Keenan? Do we want Mike Williams? Do we want Eckler?
So I feel like Mike Williams is not 100% healthy the way he performed last week, and Herbert's focus clearly shifted to Keenan last week. So I feel like Williams is not 100%. So I would say either Eckler or Keenan.
All right.
But you would know. You're the Charger fan.
He only got
that.
He only got 2 or 3 targets last week. I mean, he practiced all week, so it's not like we heard like he was, sidelined or anything. But let's go with Keenan. Who do we bring back with Philly? Is it Devonta Smith?
I mean, I feel like you run against the Chargers, and it's such an ugly scene right now. But I would say Boston Scott for cheap.
Wait, no, that's perfect. It's a kind of a value kind of play. That leaves us now. We have our quarterback. We have a running back. We have one receiver. We have Travis Kelce at tight end. We have the Kansas City Chiefs defense. We have 4 spots to fill at $7K a piece. So We basically could pay up for any other running back we want. I kind of like to go maybe with Alvin Cook.
Yeah, I'm with that.
At 8,800 this week. I like that. It would be between either Cook or Zeke at home. I think that game is, Denver just sold off, Von Miller. Their defense that was, pretty dominant in the beginning of the year is not that anymore. They're going I think Dak is playing this week. From what I've heard, he practiced today and participated in all the drills. So that's a boost. I could see the Broncos. The thing about I kind of like about this game is I could see the Broncos. They have the talent to keep up if the game flow kind of goes right.
Yeah,
you got
definitely.
Judy, Sutton, you got Javonte, Gordon.
What would be ideal is like Drew Lock come in at halftime and throw like 3 touchdowns in the second half, like them trailing a lot and make it a good game.
So let's go Dalvin Cook. And then I wouldn't mind if at this point now maybe we bring it back with a Rashad Bateman. We have a little bit of correlation with that game, Minnesota-Baltimore. We still have 2 spots, 6,900 at wide receiver and a flex. We could do something like
what's like your favorite spend up receivers?
My favorite spend up receiver this week would probably be Tyreek Hill.
Tyreek Hill.
Yeah, like I just I don't mind Debo. I think what it is and I hate to say it, but everybody's got it just in the back of their head like he's gonna get hurt, like at some point get hurt, and it's just like when is that week gonna happen? And we hate to think that, so we hate to think it, but I mean Debo just keeps doing it every damn week.
Yeah,
in a good spot, so I don't mind him either. It's tough I think Marquis Brown is priced a little
too high on FanDuel. Yeah, I just noticed that. He's more than Stephon Diggs. Like, what? That's crazy.
I mean, I wouldn't mind going, CeeDee Lamb and, Jerry Jeudy in those last 2 spots, and then we have that correlation going with that game too. I think Jeudy is affordable. Yeah.
What's your read on the Bengals-Browns game? Like, do you have any interest in any of the skill players on the Bengals, whether it's the run game, the pass game? Like, usually they've had a couple high-scoring games, like in the Burrow era. Both teams are somewhat, in the playoff hunt, and like I could see that game, being high-scoring. We just saw the Bengals, get trounced by the Jets offense, and we've seen Cleveland give up like 100 points to the Chargers offense. Their defense isn't anything special right now either. Like, what's your read there? Is there anyone on the Bengals that you're interested in?
I mean, obviously Chase, and I think all the receivers are in play, to be honest with you.
Yeah, and it seems like the Browns are on the verge of releasing Odell. So like Jarvis Landry might be like an interesting play.
Donovan Peoples-Jones might come up. My thing is like, if it one day just dawns on the Browns that we have the best running back in the league.
I know.
And then don't try and outscore people. Like, yeah. My only trepidation is that they're going to try and slow the game down and just run with Chubb on the ball. And that's their identity. Like, I just don't think, like, I feel like if the Bengals were to get up, like, I just don't know if the Browns have that, like, firepower to come back to where you're like, okay, now it's really like a game stack kind of thing. That's my only.
Right. And where are you on Stephon Diggs against Jacksonville?
It's just another thing. Like, it's the same thing. Like, I feel like they'd play a half. They're going to play 3 quarters and they're going to be out of there. And even Diggs last week, like, it still felt
if he didn't have that touchdown, he really, like, it was a horrible week for him.
It still felt like it was pulling teeth with him. Like, That offense, I've noticed, can't support 3 receivers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, if you've noticed, every week it's either Diggs, Sanders, and Beasley's out, or it's Beasley, Sanders, Diggs is out, or it's Diggs, Beasley,
Knox.
Sanders was nothing last week.
Yeah.
Knox was around. Like, it's a great offense, but it can't support all.
Yeah, well, because Allen's doing so much with his feet, it like takes away unless they fall behind, which that's not happening this week. Justin Jefferson does really stand out as like a guy who could really go off if they fall behind. And, Cousins, he's had multiple 3+ touchdown games, since going to Minnesota. He loves Jefferson. Like, he's got the high ceiling. If Dak comes back, either one of the Dallas receivers, I think, are fine. You got to respect what Jamar Chase has done this year. Debo, same thing. But yeah, I mean, Tyreek Hill does kind of stand out. Like, the Chiefs desperately need to win this game, and like now the door is opened with Aaron Rodgers being out, like for them to likely win the game. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you saw how much they targeted him against the Giants. Like, although I do think what's his name's coming back. Is Jair Alexander?
I mean, if he's coming back, then that definitely changes things. He's the best corner in the league, but he hasn't been back, so we have to wait to see. So, what I did to finish out this lineup, guys, and here's what it is, and then we're going to move on to our Vegas bets. We got Justin Herbert, Boston Scott, and Dalvin Cook are our running backs. Our receivers are Keenan Allen, Rashad Bateman, and CeeDee Lamb. Our tight end is Travis Kelce. On our flex spot, we got Jerry Jeudy, and then on our tight end our defense is Kansas City Chiefs. We have $500 extra to spend. Either you could move up in defense. You could move up if you wanted to. If you didn't like Jeudy or Bateman or whatever. Sutton at 6,700, so you kind of have to move things around. But I like Jeudy as like a kind of like a big comeback game. I mean, Noah Fant is on the COVID list now. So who's Trayvon Diggs going to be covering, you think? Probably Sutton, right?
Probably Sutton.
So you're going to have Jeudy just kind of all operating around the middle. And this, maybe Tim Patrick. He's a good, flyer too, because he still seems to be producing even last week when Jeudy was gone. So that's going to round up our lineup. Paulie, let's move on to our Vegas best bets. I mean, I'm looking at it for the first time here, kind of like if there's anything standing out. To me, I think it's tough, man. I kind of like. I'm gonna take. This might be a little bit too much, but I'm gonna take Denver and plus 10 points. There's plus 10 and 9.5 some places.
Mm-hmm.
I just think that they're gonna keep it closer than that. Like, I just don't think it's gonna be a blowout.
Yeah, I'm with that. I'm gonna take. I like the under in San Francisco, and I like the Bengals to just win outright. And I think the Rams smoke Tennessee. I think that's Monday night or Sunday night. But with Derrick Henry down, Julio hurt in LA, I think the Rams just continue to just take care of business right now. They just got Von Miller. Like, those are teams going in different directions.
Yeah, it's weird. Like, it's like Raiders are 3-point favorites on the road against the Giants.
That's trappy, man. Like, Giants hung in there against the Chiefs, should have won. The Raiders are like such a like gritty kind of team. Like, they always outperform the public's expectations, at least this year. And losing Ruggs hurts, but I don't think it kills them. I think Edwards is like a really solid, like, fill in, like you won't really feel much. Do you know what Waller's status is?
Waller practiced today.
I mean, he's going to have a huge game against the Giants. I mean, although they did shut down Kelsey, but I expect him to have a big game against the Giants. I like Waller there, but that's a tough game because even though the Giants are just like battered with injuries, they seem to like hang in there against good teams this year. It's odd. Like they're not good, but they're better than I like think that they are. At least that's what they've shown us so far. Like they've surprised me.
All right, that's going to do it for the Week 9 NFL DFS live stream. Be sure to follow me and Paulie on Twitter. You can follow Paulie D's, me at Patio Joe Ref. Be sure to join the Wise Take Nation, where Paulie will have his article comes out on Saturday. My cash game article comes out on Saturday. And, of course, CK has his core that comes out on Saturday. So be sure to hit us up also in the chat. We're hanging out pregame during the week and stuff. So we appreciate everybody do that. So got anything else to say, Paulie, before we get out of here?
No, like you said, catch the article Saturday, Sunday. We've kind of all been kind of on NFL lately, and a big week is coming for one of us. CK already had one. You're super consistent in cash. It's, keep riding the wave in NFL.
That's right. Just keep doing it. Keep doing it. Nothing stops this train, as they say. So for Paulie D, I'm Patio Joe, and as our man CK says in the back,